everyone, welcome back to me. I'm Yulianti. So today I'd like to share about language acquisition. So what is language acquisition? Language acquisition is the process by which humans acquire the capacity to perceive and comprehend language. In other words, it is gaining the ability to be aware of language and to understand it, as well as to produce and use words and sentences to communicate. So language acquisition is divided into two. The first is first language acquisition and the second is second language acquisition. First language acquisition refers to the way children learn their native language or mother tongue. So there are some stages of first language acquisition. The first is pre-talking. In this stage, takes place from birth to around 6 months. During this time, the child does not speak, but it is the beginning to understand short words and phrases that are central to their needs and interests. Second is the babbling stage. The babbling stage occurs from around 6 months to 8 months. In this stage, the infant begins to babble and make noises and syllables that are not yet words. Physically, teeth begin to appear and the muscles in the mouth required for speech begin to develop. And then the third is holophrastic. In this stage, is significantly longer, occurring between 9 and 18 months old. During this stage, the infant begins to learn and speak single words. In the beginning, these words are strongly centered around basic needs and interests as well as names or identifiers like mama, mama, or papa, papa, papa. And then the fourth stage is two words. It takes place from 2 to 3 years old. Over time, children begin to expand their two-word phrases into short sentences. They also begin to utilize lexical morphemes to make the words. For example, they understand to use the plural boys, boys, instead of boy when referring to a group of boys. And then the next one is multi-word. Past the ages of 3, most children fall into the multi-word stage. In this final stage of language acquisition, of first language acquisition, children now learn to use functional morphemes to change the meaning of the words they use. For example, they are speaking including but, in, and that. So the question is, how is the first language acquisition coming from? Now, so there are two main guiding principles in the first language acquisition. The first is speech perception. Speech perception is the process by which speech is interpreted, which involves 3 processes: hearing, interpreting, comprehending all of the sounds produced by the speaker. And the second is speech production. Speech production is the process of uttering articulated sounds or words and how humans generate meaningful speech. The next one is second language acquisition. Second language acquisition refers to the learning of another language or languages beside their native language or their mother tongue. For example, a person who has English as their mother tongue, so when we are talking about second language acquisition, it means that this person is learning another languages beside English. For example, he or she is learning Mandarin. It means that Mandarin is his or her second language. So there are some stages of second language acquisition. The first is pre-production. During this stage, the person or the student is normally silent while listening to new words and gaining an understanding of the language. And the second is early production. At this stage, The students start to practice pronouncing new words and typically learn at least 1,000 new words and their meanings. They also start using their new words to speak in short phrases. For example, in the first stage, just now, I am as a student who is learning second language, that is Mandarin. So I'm listening. They are talking ch, ch, ch. And then in the second stage, early pronunciation, I'm starting to practice it. So I say that ch, ch, ch. So going to the next stage, it is speech emergence. Now in this stage, vocabulary continues to expand and the students will know about a maximum of 3,000 words by the end of this stage. They start to speak in longer phrases and sentences and to ask questions. In addition, at this stage, they will start reading and writing assignments. So at this stage, I'm going to produce a new sentences or phrases. For example, 我吃饭,我吃饭. Or I can ask question, 你吃了吗?你吃了吗? Okay, so and then the next one is intermediate fluency. In this stage, students start to think and form responses in new language. By the end of this stage, most people have learned well over 6,000 different words and their meanings. They are also speaking more fluently and continuing to improve upon their reading and writing activities. And then the last one is advanced fluency. People who reach this stage continue to improve upon and even they expand their vocabulary and abilities in their second language. So, overall, there are some factors influencing the language acquisition and development, both first and second language acquisition. The first is social. In their social environment, children are able to watch what the adults are looking and referring to. So they are learning by inferring from a speaker's communicative intent. For example, as early as 24 months kid, they are able to infer solely from an adult's excited tone of voice and from the physical setting that a new word must refer to an object that has been placed on the tail while the dog was away. So for example, we can say that ba or peekaboo. Now that is from the social environment. And then the second is perceptual. Now, auditory perceptual skills at 6 or 12 months of age can predict vocabulary and syntactic complexity at 23 months of age. Besides, they are also challenging for impaired learners are forms with a reduced perceptual salience, such as stress or lie united within a consonant cluster. The third is cognitive. Frequency affects a rate of learning. Children who hear an unusual high proportion of examples of a language form learn that form faster than children who receive ordinary input. And the fourth is conceptual. Relation terms are linked to mental age. Words that express notions of time, casuality, location, size, or order are correlated with mental age much more than words that simply refer to objects and events. Moreover, children learning different languages learn to talk about special locations such as in or next to in much the same order, regardless of the grammatical devices of their particular language. And the fifth is linguistics. Verbs endings are cues to verb meaning. If a verb endings in ing, 3-year-olds will decide that it refers to an activity, such as swim, swimming. Besides, current vocabulary influences new learning. So toddlers usually decide that a new word refers to the objects for which they do not already have a level. So after all, now I just want to say that those are the stages of language acquisition. However, the stage of language acquisition that a person undergoes spend the different amount of time in each stage. This depends on some factors such as the age and the ability of the individual and also the environment. So, you don't have to worry about your kid if they have the different stage of language acquisition, because each person and each individual will undergo its different stage of language acquisition. So I think that's all for my video. Goodbye everyone. Have a good day. Bye bye.